Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 43. The birth of Vena. Utkala was the son of Dhruva. He was a great philosopher. Even when he was young, he reached the Brahmi state. He did not care for the throne and the pomp and splendor of the royal court. In fact, he looked so little interest in the ruling of the kingdom that people mistook him to be ignorant and dull. He did not bother about his appearance, and those who looked at him would not pay him any respect. Finally, the elders of the city thought that he was not in the least efficient. They crowned his younger brother Vatsara as king. One of the descendants of Vatsara was a king by name Anga. He was a Rajarshi, and once he performed the Ashwamedha. At the end of the yaga, the devas are supposed to come to receive their share of the harvest. But when they were summoned by incantations, the devas would not come and receive their dues. Everyone was surprised, and they asked the Yajamana, the king. They said, "O king, the devas have not appeared to accept your oblations into the fire. We can assure you that we have performed the yaga without any mistake being committed. There is no fault on our part. We do not know why the devas have not come." The king was sorely distressed. He addressed those who had assembled there. "You are all wise men, and you all wish me well. The devas, as you have seen, have not responded to our summons. Can anyone tell me what my fault is? What has been committed that should not have in a situation like this? I do not know why it has happened. Can no one find out the reason why?" The wise men spoke. They said, "O King of Kings, you are not to blame in the performance of the yaga. We know the reason for this. You are a man of great virtue, no doubt, but you have not been sinless in your previous birth. As a result of that, you are childless. We will try to help you. You can perform another yajna with the purpose of getting a son. Lord Narayana, who will be worshipped, will be so pleased that he will himself gratify your desire. When they see that Narayana himself is pleased to bless you with a son, the devas who will be with him will come to you and receive their share of the harvest." They took it upon themselves to perform a yajna, which was to honor Narayana. When the yaga was coming to an end, out of the fire rose up a form wearing golden ornaments, and in his hand he held a vessel made of gold. He held it out to the king, who found divine payasa inside it. With the blessings of the elders who had assembled there, the king smelt the payasa and gave it to his wife Sunita. In course of time, a son was born to the king. This son born of sacrifice was, however, the abode of adharma. Even when he was a child, he enjoyed hurting living beings. As he grew older, he would go into the forest to hunt. But he was bent on hunting at will and on killing gentle and harmless animals. He was so cruel that people would avoid him. When he appeared in sight, men would say, "Here comes Vena, the cruel prince," and run away from the spot. While playing with his companions, he would kill them without any compunction. The king tried his best to bring him round to the right path. He tried all the 4 methods: Sama, Dana, Bedha, and Danda. But it was of no avail. He was unable to change the nature of his son. The king was very unhappy. He told himself, God is kind towards those who have no children, because they are not unhappy as the result of the atrocities committed by a bad son. Because of being the father of a bad son, a man inherits infamy, hatred of all men, and endless mental pain. The really wise man will never desire to have a son when the entire house and the family and the country is unhappy because of this one bad son. But when I think of myself, I feel that God has been really good to me in giving me a bad son instead of a good and well behaved one. Because of the unhappiness caused by this son, I have become disgusted with my home and my very life. I dare not move about in the presence of good men, burdened with the sin of having produced this son. A good son would not have let his father adopt the path of renunciation so soon. I would have been bound to my family, and this bondage has been severed because of the behavior of my son. The king was very unhappy. No one could talk to him since he was drowned in his own misery. One night he was tossing to and fro sleeplessly on his bed. Suddenly he made up his mind. The poor, unfortunate king Anga abandoned his bed, and with it his home, his wife, and all the things of this world. He walked away quietly from the city, never to return. The subjects were grief-stricken at the departure of the king. They knew that the son's sinfulness had made the father adopt this course. King Anga had gone in search of peace. The ministers and other wise men of the city went on a deputation to the rishis and asked them for advice. They said that a kingdom had to have a king, and so much as they disapproved of him, the ministers had to crown the wicked Vena as king.